There are moments in motorsport that stop the conversation cold. Moments where even the most seasoned analysts, the veterans who have watched thousands of races and think they have seen every possible storyline the sport can generate, are forced to pause, reconsider everything they thought they knew, and simply say, nobody saw this coming. What Shane van Gisbergen is doing in the 2026 NASCAR Cup Series is one of those moments. And the most remarkable part of the story is not where he came from, though that origin story is extraordinary on its own. The most remarkable part is how fast he is getting to where he is going. To understand why the NASCAR world is collectively rubbing its eyes and looking at the early 2026 standings in disbelief, you need to understand the context of who Shane van Gisbergen is and where he started this journey. He did not grow up racing ovals. He did not develop his craft on the short tracks of the American South or the intermediate ovals that form the backbone of the NASCAR Cup Series schedule. He came from the Supercars Championship in Australia, a touring car series built around road courses and street circuits, a series that demands an entirely different set of skills from its competitors. Oval racing was essentially a foreign language to him when he first arrived in America, and in NASCAR, foreign languages take time to learn. His introduction to the Cup Series was the stuff of legend. The 2028 Chicago Street Race, a brand new event held on a temporary street circuit in the heart of one of America's greatest cities, gave van Gisbergen his first Cup Series start. He won, outright, in his debut. It was one of the most staggering individual performances in the modern era of the sport, and it announced to the American racing audience that this man from New Zealand was not a curiosity or a novelty. He was a genuine threat, at least on the kinds of tracks that resembled what he had spent his career mastering. The 2025 season confirmed both sides of that equation with brutal clarity. Van Gisbergen, now a full-time Cup Series competitor driving the number 97 Chevrolet for Trackhouse Racing, was sensational on road courses. He won 5 times. Sonoma, Watkins Glen, Chicago again, Indianapolis, Circuit of the Americas. 5 road course victories in a single Cup Series season is a number that commands respect from anyone who follows the sport. He was the undisputed king of any track, with a left-hand turn, a right-hand turn, and anything resembling a corner. But the moment the series arrived at an oval, the story changed. He was mid-pack at best. His best oval result in 2025 was a 10th place finish at Kansas Speedway, a solid enough showing that hinted at potential without confirming a breakthrough. The consensus view heading into 2026 was that van Gisbergen would continue to dominate on road courses and continue to find ovals challenging. That view now needs to be fundamentally revised. And after 4 races in 2026, Shane van Gisbergen sits 5th in the NASCAR Cup Series Championship standings. 5th, in a field that includes William Byron, Kyle Larson, Joey Logano, Denny Hamlin, and every other established oval specialist who has spent their entire professional career developing the instincts and muscle memory that oval racing demands. 5th, with an average finishing position of 12.25, 2 top 10 results, 6 laps led, 0 mechanical retirements, and a 100% lap completion rate through the opening stretch of the season. These are not the numbers of a driver still learning. These are the numbers of a driver competing. Let us walk through what has actually happened on the track to generate those numbers, because the story behind the statistics is even more fascinating than the standings themselves. At Phoenix Raceway, van Gisbergen spun during the race. A spin at Phoenix is typically a death sentence for your finishing position. The track is a 1-mile oval with specific groove characteristics that punish drivers who lose control, and recovering from a spin to post a respectable result requires calm, precision, and a thorough understanding of how to manage your tyres after subjecting them to an unplanned stress event. Van Gisbergen recovered and finished 11th. Not spectacular, but absolutely acceptable, and far better than most observers would have predicted for a driver in the early stages of his oval development. Then came Atlanta Motor Speedway, and Atlanta is where the story truly became remarkable. Atlanta is one of the most demanding tracks on the entire Cup Series schedule, a repaved, high-banked superspeedway-style oval where speeds are astronomical, and the pack racing is some of the most physically and mentally intense racing anywhere in the world. Van Gisbergen spun not once but twice during that race. 2 spins at Atlanta. Most drivers do not survive 1 spin at Atlanta with their day intact. He survived 2 of them and finished sixth place, his best career oval result. After spinning twice, the audacity of that performance, the sheer refusal to let circumstances dictate the outcome, is the kind of thing that makes people in the NASCAR garage sit up and take notice in a very serious way. And then there was the Daytona 500, only his second career superspeedway start, and Van Gisbergen was not just surviving the draft and managing his way through the chaos. He was leading laps at Daytona, the most prestigious race in American motorsport, the race where superspeedway experience and drafting instincts developed over years of competition are supposed to separate the veterans from the newcomers. He was up front, trading the lead, making the kind of aggressive and calculated moves that experienced Daytona racers spend years learning to execute with confidence. The reaction from the NASCAR analytical community has been one of genuine, undisguised surprise. Analysts like Jeff Gluck and Jordan Bianchi, 2 of the most respected and informed voices in NASCAR media, have expressed open astonishment at the consistency and the pace Van Gisbergen has shown in these early 2026 oval outings. The consensus among observers is that his improvement has come far faster than anyone had a right to expect, and that the manner in which he has handled adversity on the track, spinning and recovering rather than spinning and fading, suggests a level of mental and physical adaptability that separates elite drivers from merely good ones. Part of the explanation for this rapid development lies in the quality of the organisation surrounding him. Trackhouse Racing has become one of the most competitive teams in the Cup Series, and Van Gisbergen's teammate Ross Chastain is a proven oval performer who consistently runs toward the front of the field. When a teammate is showing genuine pace, it provides a direct reference point for setup and strategy, and it tells you that the cars being built by your organisation are capable of competing at the highest level. Van Gisbergen matching Chastain's pace on ovals is not a small thing. It means he is extracting the full potential of equipment that has already been proven. That is a rare skill, and it points toward a trajectory that should concern every driver ahead of him in the standings. The drivers who should be paying the most attention to this story are the established names who have structured their entire championship approach around the assumption that Van Gisbergen would not be a serious oval threat. William Byron, one of the most complete drivers in the sport, competes on the same intermediate tracks where Van Gisbergen is now showing speed. Kyle Larson, perhaps the most naturally talented driver of his generation, knows better than anyone how quickly a focused and gifted competitor can close the gap when the equipment and the determination align. Joey Logano has built an entire career on reading the competitive landscape accurately and positioning himself accordingly. Denny Hamlin, co-owner of a rival team and one of the craftiest racers in the garage, will look at these early 2026 numbers and understand exactly what they imply. What makes Van Gisbergen's development particularly threatening is the combination of his established road course dominance with this emerging oval competence. Most drivers in the Cup Series are specialists to some degree, excelling in one discipline while managing weaknesses in another. The truly dangerous drivers are the complete ones, the drivers who can win on any surface, in any conditions, on any given Sunday. Van Gisbergen is building toward that profile at a pace that nobody predicted. His journey from the Supercars Championship to the pinnacle of American stock car racing has already produced storylines that will be discussed for decades. The Chicago debut victory alone secured his place in the sport's historical conversation. But if the 2026 season continues on its current trajectory, that debut win may come to be seen not as the ceiling of his American career, but as the opening chapter of something far larger. Whether Shane Van Gisbergen can sustain this level of oval performance across a full season, through the heat of summer racing, through the pressure of the playoff rounds, and all the way to Homestead where the championship is decided, remains the defining question of what could become one of the most compelling individual stories the NASCAR Cup Series has ever told. The early evidence suggests that the answer might surprise everyone all over again.